Hey, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to dive deep into something we all experience, stress. We're going to break down the science of what it is, where it comes from, and most importantly, why your own point of view might just be the most powerful tool you have for dealing with it.
You know the feeling, right? It starts with something small. You're running just a few minutes behind, you see the bus pulling away from the curb, and boom. Suddenly your heart is pounding. That one little thing feels like it's triggered a domino effect, and now the whole day just feels off. That feeling? That's exactly what we're digging into today.
Okay, so let's get into it. We throw the word stress around all the time, but what does it actually mean from a scientific point of view? Turns out, it's a lot more than just having a bad day. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. See, science makes a super important distinction here. Stress isn't the thing that happens to you. It's not the bus you missed or the exam you have to take. Stress is your response to that thing. It's the reaction that's happening inside your own mind and body.
And this is absolutely crucial. The fancy term for it is psychobiological. I know, it sounds complicated, but all it really means is that stress is a two-way street. It's this constant conversation going on between your mind, your thoughts and feelings, and your body's physical reactions. They're totally connected.
So let's pull apart those two sides of the conversation. What exactly happens when our mind and our body go on high alert because we think there's a threat?
You've got two things happening at once. First, there's the physiological response. Think of this as your body's automatic alarm system. You don't choose to make your heart pound or your palms sweat, it just happens. Then you've got the psychological response, which is all about how we think and feel. And this is where we have at least some say in the matter.
So let's look closer at the mind's reaction, starting with our emotions. When we're under stress, it's like our emotional balance just gets knocked sideways. We can start feeling anxious, tense, maybe even angry, or really irritable. For some, it can even lead to this heavy sense of hopelessness, like you're just stuck.
And it's not just our feelings. Stress messes with our ability to think clearly, too. Ever notice how it's hard to concentrate when you're stressed, or you become more forgetful? Even making a simple decision can feel like a monumental task. Stress can even warp our perception of reality, making a small problem feel like an absolute catastrophe. All right, so we've talked about the response, what we call stress. But what's actually pulling the trigger? To get that, we need to look at the cause, or what we call stressors.
Simply put, a stressor is the trigger. It's the thing, whatever it is, that kicks off that whole psychobiological response we were just talking about. And a stressor can be literally anything. A person, a thought, a looming deadline, you name it.
And we can basically split these triggers into two big buckets. You've got your external stressors. These are the things that happen to you from the outside world, like getting a massive pile of homework. And then you have internal stressors, which, you guessed it, start from inside you. Things like worrying endlessly about a problem, or even just the physical experience of pain. Let's make this real with an example. So, meet Marguerite. She's dealing with some major issues with her boss at work. It's making her incredibly unhappy, and she feels completely stuck, like there's no way out. So, thinking about her situation, what's your take? What are the stressors here? Are they coming from the outside, from inside her own head, or is it maybe a little of both?
You got it, it's both. The external stressor is pretty obvious. It's her difficult interactions with her boss. But that external problem is creating a powerful internal stressor, her own feelings of unhappiness and feeling trapped. It's a perfect example of how the outside world and our inner world can team up to create stress.
Okay, so here's another layer. Not all stress is the same. One of the biggest differences is how long it lasts. And this brings us to a really important distinction between what we call acute and chronic stress. The key difference really is just time. Acute stress is a short-term burst. It's tied to one specific situation. Your body's alarm goes off, you deal with the thing, and then you bounce back. Chronic stress, though, that's the long-term, prolonged stuff. It's the pressure that feels like it never, ever lets up. And that can be completely overwhelming. So a perfect example of acute stress? That panicked feeling you get when you're running late for a huge presentation. Your heart is racing, you feel the pressure, but as soon as you're done presenting, phew, the feeling goes away. It has a clear finish line. Chronic stress is a whole different beast.
Think about the constant weight of ongoing money problems, or a relationship that's been in a tough spot for years. There's no obvious endpoint, right? So that stress response can stay switched on, which can really take a toll on our health over time.
And that brings us to what is maybe the most important and honestly the most hopeful part of this whole story. We've talked about the response, and we've talked about the triggers. But now, let's talk about the final secret ingredient, your own mind.
This quote really gets right to the heart of it. Think about it. The exact same event can happen to two different people. One person might find it incredibly stressful, while the other just sees it as a challenge to overcome. What's the difference? It's not the event. It's their belief in whether or not they can handle it.
So here's the big takeaway. An event itself isn't inherently stressful. A traffic jam is just a bunch of cars. A final exam is just a piece of paper with questions. They only become stressors when we interpret them as a threat that we don't think we have the tools to handle. Our interpretation is the secret sauce.
And that really leaves us with one final, powerful question to think about. The next time you feel that wave of stress starting to wash over you, just pause and ask yourself, what's the story I'm telling myself about this situation right now? Because understanding that story, well, that's the first step to changing it. Thanks for watching.